open source community for many years, and Editor-in-Chief Don Marty spoke to us about the difference between open source and proprietary software.
If you go to most of the free software sites, you can click down a couple levels and find the GPL. You can find the X license, the Apache license, whichever terms and conditions you have to accept in order to use that software. Now, when a proprietary software company buries their license so you can't even read it until after you have paid for the product, then they're asking you to turn off part of your brain. They're asking you to turn off part of your ability to work with other people and to do business when you use their software.
Most people also say that there's no way you can make money with regards to open source.
There's no way to make money with the English language. I come up with new words, phrases, analogies, all kinds of fun stuff in the English language, and people paraphrase what I had to say and make money talking about some of the same things that I did. If I tried to lock down what I talk about and what I write about the same way as a proprietary software company does, then the whole industry of speaking, writing, media would be overly litigious, and transaction costs would be prohibitive.
How do you now adapt your magazine for users entering the Linux market?
If you want to get started from Linux, starting from no Linux experience at all, you're best off buying a good book or buying a good box set distribution, or both. If someone comes to Linux with the point of view of make this exactly as easy to use and work exactly the same way as my existing proprietary OS, or I'm out of here, then that person is not worth spending as much time on as on somebody who says, I want to make this project work for me.
The future of Linux, how do you see it in the next 2 to 3 years?
All those small-time OSs are going to have their market share taken away by Linux, and it's going to be down to Linux and Microsoft on the server side.
Open source empowers. That's a slogan you're going to be hearing a lot of in the future. For example, if someone's blind, doesn't mean they can't be part of the world of IT. Nothing could be further from the truth. Look, here's the truth, and here's the thing. Look how far they are away from it.
Brett Stradom lost his sight at the age of 6, but he excelled at school and became fascinated with computers. For years, he nagged his parents to buy him his own computer.
I think I was in standard 6 or 7 when the nagging finally paid off and everybody delved into their annual bonuses and contributed towards getting me a PC. That was a little IBM 286 at the time. I started doing computer studies. I so badly wanted a PC, I didn't mind it not being adapted. I organized things on it so that I could use it. It wasn't as fancy as today where we have them talking back to us and read in Braille what's going on. It is at least a start of being able to express my ideas and my creativity.
Brett works as a systems engineer at one of the country's largest insurance companies. He uses open source tools to create programs that, simply put, allow the company's different programs to interact with each other.
Now, Brett, your first computer wasn't nearly as sophisticated as the computers we have nowadays. Could you tell us more about the Braille TTY system that you're using?
It's a little device that shows a certain section of the screen in Braille. You have scrolling buttons on this device which allow you to move to the section of the screen that you currently can't see.
What was it like for you when you first discovered Linux and open source?
One of my maths tutors, Stuart Gebby, asked me if I ever heard about Linux and if I was willing to try it. So I took my laptop at the time and split it that I could use both Windows and Linux, and I think it was within about 2 weeks I stopped using Windows completely and just focused on Linux. And what has really been great is just the amount that I've been able to learn. I've learned much more about Microsoft through open source than what I did from Microsoft products themselves.
Brett's company needed a web interface for a core piece of software. The supplier quoted over R1 million, which they were not prepared to pay. So Brett created a custom intranet interface, which was a major productivity boost.
Using open source and the documents that are available that gave me the insight as to what I can do and how I can go about achieving it.
Brett says his aim is to fit in with society, not to make society fit in with him.
I try to lead a life that integrates me well into society, and that's how I'd like to use technology, is to help me cope with the world as it is, rather than trying to get the world to just accommodate me.
In the future, people like Brett will have a few more choices open to them, and that's thanks to advances in speech recognition. It's software that allows you to input data and control your computer simply using voice commands. File, save. Now that's good news if you're a software developer who wants to create speech-enabled applications, because now there is an open source toolkit that's available. IBM has released a whole set of its software to the open source community in an attempt to establish an open standard in speech recognition.
Stop, exit, tea break. Let's take a brief tea break while Mark Shuttleworth shows us some of the more difficult things involved in exercising, such as the nostril stretch.
If you think I'm doing my exercises today, I am. It's because my computer has just told me to take a break. The software we're doing it with today is called WorkRave, and it's designed for those of you who spend many long hours working constantly at the computer. WorkRave will keep track of how long you've been working, and at appropriate times will recommend that you take a break, and even tell you what kinds of exercises that you can do will reduce the risk of repetitive stress injury to your fingers, to your wrists, and to your knuckles.
Download the program free from www.workrave.com, and you'll find it's easy to configure. Tell it when you'd like your break and how long you want to break for. You get micro pauses and rest breaks. It'll even give you exercises designed to prevent repetitive stress injury.
Okay, so remember, if you keep fit, you can spend even longer behind the keyboard and take care of your fingers. That's what responsible computing is all about.
You can run, Mark, but you cannot hide. We will find you, even in the space station, in zero gravity. Who's your server? Who's your server? And remember the website, www.goopensource.org. That's the place to go if you want to find out more about WorkRave, if you need that sort of thing at work, or any other items in our fantastic programming. My guest this week, the editor of Tectonic. Meet Alistair Otter. Hello, Alistair.
Hi, John.
What is Tectonic? Tell us.
Tectonic's an online publication focusing on open source software in Africa and South Africa. It's been around about 4 years now. It's the largest and probably the first of its kind on the continent. Purely online, we cover all sorts of open source software news, Linux, everything for the technical market as well as the beginner users.
Africa must be quite an interesting place for open source.
In many ways, that's the reason I started this. I fell into open source about 5 years ago, partly by accident. I was working as a journalist, as a technology journalist, and I came across this open source thing and decided I had to try it because everyone started to write about it. And it became immediately apparent to me and to a lot of other people that open source software is infinitely appropriate for the African continent.
Alistair, let's talk a bit about the fact that publishing online obviously has changed the way that people publish. In the past, you'd have to go through mainstream media, you'd have to be passed by all sorts of politics, editors, and now you just publish whatever you like.
I think what we've seen over the last couple of years is a number of publishing tools which are every bit as good as many other professional publishing systems, and they're freely available on the internet. People can take the bits and pieces that they like, put them together, and publish a website which publicizes their interests, their information online. And I think it's something that's very exciting. It comes back to the blogging aspect, where an individual can decide they want to publish. And it's thanks to things like open source software that there are such powerful blogging tools available to people at little or no cost.
Kind of, with the freedom that you enjoy to be able to publish as a journalist, obviously now everyone has it. So I mean, things like hate speech and and propaganda, and I mean that's also, the world is open to all that sort of stuff. So how do we balance that?
People need to be critical consumers of media. We can't regulate the internet to that degree where we can stop somebody publishing online. It's a fundamental principle of the internet that kind of material, unfortunately, can be put out there.
Thank you for joining us. Best of luck in the future. And may tectonic grow to become a massive force of nature.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Feeling lucky, punk? Huh? Are you?